This video was brought to you by With Him Moreland Construction and Services LLC. If you have any housing projects which include an interior or an exterior remodel, if you need a brand new roof, if you need any electrical services or just anything around the house, don't tackle on that house project by yourself. Give these guys a call at 501-326-4533. They will also include a free inspection upon arrival. Also brought to you by Superior RV in Conway, Arkansas. Get pre-qualified for an RV within seconds. No effect on your credit score. No need for a social security number or date of birth. Give these guys a call at 501-214-8153 or visit their website at rvbestbuy.com. Also, support our other sponsors here. They work hard to make sure that our page is running, which in return keeps you guys safe during the big events, severe and winter weather alike. If you need additional business, if you have a small business or a big business, give us an email at info@arkansasweatherwatchers.org. Well, good evening, Arkansas. This is Chief Forecaster Cameron, and
Hey, Derek here with y'all once again. And as we've been talking about for the last several days, a quiet period right now, but a lot to go over this evening on this New Year's night.
definitely. So temperatures right now here, I don't know if that's a wrong reading and wind right now, 21 degrees. I think that might be a little off here, but overall across the state right now, pretty chilly for your New Year's Day here with temperatures in the upper 30s, low 40s across the area. And temperatures are not going to fall off terrible tonight. I mean, obviously, yes, it is going to be a lot colder than it was, this previous weekend when we were dealing with the severe weather and stuff like that. But not this week. Well, actually, it was Saturday. I believe it was Saturday when we were dealing with it here. So definitely cooler tonight, but not terribly cold now compared to what we've got coming up as we move into your next week here. So let's take a look at current radar here for your New Year's Day. Just pretty calm across the area. We had some cloud cover earlier on today here, led to pretty chilly conditions for the first half of your day. And then the sun came out this afternoon. Temperature starting to warm up just a little bit here. And that's going to lead to some clear skies tonight across the area here. So, Derek, I'm going to let you talk to our guys about our weather headlines for tonight.
So obviously, as we have talked about over, the past couple days, I mentioned, especially in the forecast last night, with three different scenarios that we could see. One being a major winter storm across the state. One where the low tracks right through the state, where we could see basically a cold rain everywhere, with just a little bit of winter weather across the northern tier of counties. And then, of course, a possible scenario where we saw the low go to the north of the state and we were dealing with severe weather. Well, over the last 24 hours, we have seen that scenario 3 kind of rear its ugly head with the first severe outlook of 2025. Coming up for us for Sunday, it does look like we will see at least a small chance of strong to severe storms now on Sunday afternoon. The good thing about this is that we have lowered that ice chance for our folks in northern Arkansas. Nobody likes an ice storm. That's really what we were looking at for Sunday. It was going to be too warm for snow, at least until that Arctic air got here.
Yeah.
So now we're looking at that possibility of more in the way of those strong to severe storms, with obviously wind, hail, tornado, all that stuff remains to be seen.
Definitely. And, another thing is, folks that are traveling back, because, this is going to be, New Year's Day was today, but then you got people that are, that are off for the rest of the week, and then they start traveling back Saturday and Sunday to get back to normal, get back to that normal routine. If you are headed up to southern Missouri, you're heading up north, that's where the ice, the snow, the winter storm potential is definitely going to be there as we move into that Sunday and Monday time frame. But that does not change the fact there that it is going to get cold, and it's going to get downright cold as we move into next week. And we also have that winter weather snowfall potential as we move into late next week as well. So we can talk about that real quickly here. This is a product that the Climate Prediction Center has, they have on their website. It is an experimental product here. But this coincides with the pattern change as we move into next week. Because next week, it's going to get to the point where it's so cold outside, all you really need is just a storm system and moisture, and you get accumulating snowfall as we move into late next week here. So those that are, going to the grocery stores right now, panicking about next week, I want to kind of ease your nerves a little bit. This is not a 100% guarantee that you're going to see a massive winter storm or anything like that. It's just like, with severe weather. I posted this around the Christmas time frame where the Climate Prediction Center had that heavy precipitation outlook for the potential of seeing flooding. It's kind of the same thing with this. It's just kind of a heads up, like, hey, your pattern is going to be cold enough for the potential of seeing winter weather slash the potential of an isolated, the potential of an isolated winter storm across the area. So that's something that they're watching. It's not a 100% slam dunk guarantee that you're going to see a massive winter storm. It's just, hey, you've got the major part, and living down in the South, the number one thing that we always struggle with every winter storm is temperatures. Temperatures. It is a rare scenario where, because we always have a storm system, we always have moisture because we're so close to the Gulf. It's the temperatures that we're always struggling with. Well, we're going to have the temperatures already in place. You're going to have that cold air established. All you really need at this point is just a storm system to interact with it, and boom. So I want you there to talk about our folks up here in northern Arkansas, because if you could take a look at this, our folks up here from Blytheville all the way down to Russellville, it's just not highlighted. So what does that mean for those folks up there?
All right, so for our folks in northern Arkansas, as you know, with these Arctic air masses, they are dry. They're very, very dry. And that's something that, it's a concern, is that with the southern storm track, somebody's going to get cut off. Now, that does not mean we won't see snow. What this means is that the risk of the more impactful winter weather could be further south, with light accumulation potentially with that late next week's system. That being said, we are still about a week away from this potential impact. So a lot of things still have to come together. And again, if a track similar to what we're seeing on Sunday, if a track goes further north, then this map moves north. Track goes further south, then more of us come into that dry air scenario. Especially if the Arctic air is colder than what is currently anticipated. That means that because Arctic air is so dry, that moisture will be zapped out of the atmosphere. Now, that being said, any type of moisture in the atmosphere, Arctic air tends to squeeze out. So those of us who get a dusting, it would stick on everything because temperature will be below freezing.
Yeah, you'll have travel issues with even if it's a dusting, you'd still have travel issues.
But with the heavy snow risk, that is for an impactful, basically meaning because our infrastructure down here in the south is much less equipped to deal with snow compared to those of our northern counterparts. Hence why we have that slight risk for travel issues as we head into late next week.
Definitely. So not only that, but we're also going to have to keep an eye on the severe weather potential here. So you guys have already seen this now. This is pretty much just tells stories moving the next week. You've got the cold air in place. You're going to have the polar jet come all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico pretty much. And you're going to have it kind of phase with the storm jet, the subtropical jet. And if we can get a Gulf blow to materialize out of this, and Climate Prediction Center does think that will happen, that's where that winter storm, that heavy snow potential kind of lies for our folks in central and southern Arkansas here. So speaking of our folks in central and south Arkansas, we've got to take a look at this. And I'm going to be honest with you, depending on what ends up happening with this warm front, some areas up here, I say Hot Springs, the Queen, Stuttgart, Helena, may eventually be added to this. I think that may be a level 1. I think your best severe shock, kind of similar to what happened last time, where you have a northward surging warm front. The question is, and we saw this last time, Derek, where the warm front just did not make it. It stayed right on the Arkansas-Louisiana border. I think it may have came up into Ashley and Chico counties at the last second before it got cleared out. So that's what you have to watch out for this time of year. SBC, they will put this risk out, say, hey, and if a what-if scenario, if the warm front makes it in Arkansas. But your problem is you're going to run into is you're going to have a warm front that's going to be draped roughly right here. We'll see. We'll see if it makes it that far north. I notice it makes it through southern Arkansas pretty easily. It's when it starts coming over to central Arkansas, starts banking up against the mountains, is where you start having that problem. But this go around, this thing is going to be different because you're going to have what's called cold air advection. That's why you have your ice potential up here in southern Missouri, etc. You're going to have cold air advection that will probably end up somewhere in here. across the area as we move into Sunday, because you're going to have a front that's going to move through Friday. You're going to try to warm things back up. So you have what's called cold air advection up here, warm air advection down here. This is where this will be a cold rain scenario for Central. Obviously, cold rain now appears to be a cold rain for our folks here in North Arkansas. I'll keep an eye on the northern counties up here, close to the Missouri border.
Mm-hmm.
But South Arkansas, with that surging Northport surging warm front, and with a much more powerful, more dynamic system this go around, we will have to watch out for potential seeing severe weather. Right now, things are just too early to kind of dissect on, is it going to be a strong tornado risk or damaging winds, etc. We'll know more about that over the next couple of days here. Go ahead.
So, especially looking at this overall risk here for severe weather, Sunday's going to be one of those days where we see temperatures in the 30s in North Arkansas and in the 70s in South Arkansas. We just started updating our forecast numbers for our local and our regional graphics as well. And one thing that really stood out to me was the substantial change from 48 hours ago, where we were talking about cold air on Sunday and that lasting in a storm track from the south of the state. Now we're talking about that track actually going through North Arkansas, even into southern Missouri, and with that track, that's going to bring that severe threat. Now, if this track keeps going north, we're going to, like Cameron said, shift that severe risk further into the state.
I'm going to be honest with you, especially with the wind profiles you have in place. That warm front continues to surge northward. You'll start introducing more warm and moist air into the state.
Yep.
You may start pushing level 3 at
Yep.
this point, especially our folks in southern Arkansas, North Louisiana. So you're going from one extreme to another with the significant weather potential we were looking at to now with the warm side of things. You got to watch out for the potential of seeing severe weather here. So let's go ahead and talk to you guys about tonight. Not much going on across the area for your New Year's Day night. Temperatures in the what?
It's a perfect night.
Yeah, it's pretty much. It's pretty perfect night across the state. Temperatures upper 20s, low 30s. Pretty quiet across the area here. Enjoy these temperatures while they last, especially for folks that love the warm weather. Because I think I looked at some of the data for next week. I think you put a single digit in the forecast for northern Arkansas. So it's going to get downright cold as we move into next week here. So we're going to go ahead and jump into some model data here, and this is first thing Sunday morning here. And Derek, I'll draw it out if you want to kind of talk about what you're seeing on the map.
So basically, it's that what we're looking at here again. So on Sunday, this is going to be a big change. You can see that warm moisture surging across much of southern Arkansas, and this is going to lead to our severe weather threat. And like I said, the further north this goes, the greater that potential exists for severe weather and less in the way of winter weather across it. Again, our winter weather threat continues to shift into Missouri now, with a cold rain across the northern and most of central Arkansas with this severe threat in the south. Cameron has drawn out here, as you can see, we have our strong low. Typically, if you see temperatures curving into a low by Arkansas guidance, that is very indicative of a very strong low area of low pressure. And when we are getting this type of setup, especially when you're transitioning from Gulf air to Arctic air, then you're going to deal with some sort of crazy weather at the onset of it. Unfortunately, for Arkansas, it has set this up to where the severe threat is starting to rapidly increase. Now, we're going to go from the 20s and 30s for lows to the 60s and 70s for highs, literally in a matter of 12 hours.
Yeah.
So, like Saturday night, our lows are going to be in the 40s, in the 30s and 40s across the state. And some of you could rise 30 to 40 degrees in the matter of a few hours on Sunday afternoon ahead of this major front coming in.
Yeah.
And you can see behind it that dry Arctic air coming in right behind it. So this setup is very indicative of a severe threat. And the concern is that, how far north does that warm front get?
Yeah, and a couple things that's standing out to me. First of all, that noise you guys heard, that was the amount of, I don't know if you saw that amount of wind energy with this system here. I think I dare say it's about a little stronger, maybe even a good amount stronger than what we had with the last system here, where it went through southern Arkansas, North Louisiana, and into the southeast here. So there's your area of low pressure here. So what I've drawn out, you have your Arctic boundary. That's going to bring the cold air coming in from the north, kind of like this. So some good news that I would throw to you in terms of the severe weather threat. I see a couple what we call fail-safe or bust modes. Okay, number one, look at your timing. Timing's at the bottom left. It's 9 o'clock in the morning, first thing Sunday morning. Now, that does not mean anything when you're trying to negate these severe weather threats. Because we saw with the last event, you had tornado warnings at 7, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. It does not matter. If your environment supports it, it's going to happen. But there's some good news. Number one, your cold front, your Arctic cold front, looks like it's going to be speeding through the area, which, if that were to be the case, this is what we would call a crashing front scenario, where you'll have a boundary that just slams into Arkansas. Your storms start to try to get going, and the front undercuts those updrafts, which cuts into your severe weather threat, which will make this a low end, marginal, maybe slight risk type of event. If this starts to slow down, then obviously we will start to watch out for the potential of seeing significant severe weather. And I'm going to tell you this straightforward as well. Even though you do have a crashing cold front, that does not technically negate your significant severe weather event. You can still get it. I would say the number one thing that stands out to me right now, and Derek, you may think the same thing, damaging winds.
Yes.
It's the number one thing that is standing out to me right now. Tornado threats, obviously there with the low pressure proximity, but I mean, that amount of wind energy being brought down to the surface, the number one thing will be the wind potential as we move into Sunday morning, if you were to go with the European model. Go ahead.
Yeah, and then of course, guidance across the board really, has brought this scenario to a very ugly head, as I say, because one thing you don't want to see, is similar right before a Arctic outbreak, because now you're dealing with power outages with temperatures well below freezing.
Yeah.
That's an unfortunate scenario that could come to fruition, especially if some guidance does verify. Again, it's Wednesday night. We have Thursday, we have Friday, we have Saturday to really watch this scenario play out. Again, the most likely scenario, the cold rain for much of the state, with a few rumbles of thunder, with a few thunderstorms across southern Arkansas, and then on the backside, maybe a little bit of a winter mix on Monday morning with rain elsewhere. But right now, we can't ignore that possibility that we're going to be watching for that severe threat, especially for our folks in southeast Arkansas, where you'll have a little bit longer to deal with a rapidly changing atmosphere compared to our folks in western Arkansas, where that front will come through relatively fast.
So another thing I want to throw you guys' way too, we haven't really talked about this too much. Wind chill.
Yes.
Will be a problem as we move into Sunday and Monday here. I want to take a look at this first thing Monday morning. Look at there in northwestern Arkansas. You've got wind gusts behind this system, by the way. Wind gusts are going to be 20 to 30 miles per hour as the system is departing away. But for Sunday night, going into Sunday night as the system starts to depart away, you've got wind gusts 30 to 40 miles per hour. Mm-hmm. You're going to have some dangerous wind chills as you move into Sunday afternoon and Sunday evening. Obviously, we'll have graphics. We'll have, we'll set all that stuff up as we move into the weekend. But this is something that's standing out now. You're starting to get that Arctic air. You're starting to get those wind chills here. So I would say Friday and Saturday, I would get stuff to winterize your house. This is pipe bursting type cold air coming our way as we move into next week here. And obviously, we'll talk more about that as we move in later into the week here. So we can zoom this out, and that's Sunday system that pushes through. So right now on Sunday, we're watching for potential strong to severe storms down in South Arkansas. Maybe a little bit of winter weather on the northern part of the state. I'd say that southern Missouri, far northern Arkansas area, the first row counties up there, we'll keep an eye on some things. But right now, it does look like we're being spared from the significant ice event that we were worried about earlier on this week. Now, we could take this out further, and I'm going to use the Canadian model for this, because I think the Canadian model may have the better handle on this Arctic outbreak that's coming our way here. Let's take this out all the way to about here. This is going to be Thursday of next week here. Now, a couple things that stand out. Number one, you're going to have that Arctic air mass in place all next week. So if you are a cold weather fan, you're going to love it. If you're a warm weather fan, you're going to absolutely hate it. So you've got that cold air in place, that 1042 millibar high pressure in place here. And what's going to end up happening is you've got a Gulf flow that's going to develop down here on the northwestern part of the Gulf, along the Texas coast. And what could happen is moisture being thrown over that Arctic air, and that's what we're going to have to watch for the potential of seeing that snowfall potential. Hence why the Climate Prediction Center has that outlook out from Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, over into the southeast.
Yep. So the big thing, with this setup is something we got to watch for is that dry Arctic air. If your air is much more dense and colder than what is currently anticipated, then, like, for example, guidance is pushing that risk further south. And if you notice a shift in our map, we talked about that shift out of northern Arkansas towards central and southern Arkansas typically. And these types of air masses, what we deal with is basically you get a air mass where it is so dry that it shifts your winter weather to Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and not so much in Arkansas. It's very, very rare to happen, but it does happen, especially with these Arctic air masses. We saw it happen in 22. We saw it happen in 23. We saw it happen. I mean, so it's not unheard of for it to happen, but it does happen, especially with these type of air masses. If your low forms in Texas and moves across the coastline, that favors Arkansas for winter storm.
Yes, sir.
If it forms around Brownsville and moves into the Gulf of Mexico, well, that does not favor Arkansas, and what that would do is leave us cold and dry for much of the upcoming period.
Except for South Arkansas, I do believe. South Arkansas would have a shot of some flurries, but the majority of it would probably be East Texas, North Louisiana, and into the Southeast. There are a couple of scenarios where that has happened in the past, but climo speaking, this favors for Arkansas in terms of a Texas through the coastal area, that northern Gulf Coast area up into the southeast here, where it brings that snowfall potential as we move into next week here. So lots of moving parts, a lot of stuff that's going to be thrown away over the next couple of days, especially for Sunday. We move into next week. I want to stress for those that are seeing, winter storm on Sunday. We're not expecting a winter storm here on Sunday here. We are going to watch out for severe weather potential. Everybody else, sugar rain, cold rain. We'll keep an eye on North Arkansas. And then our attention will turn to next week when we have the cold air established, and we can see if we can get a system to work with us and bring that winter weather potential here. So,
and the thing is, beware of those maps floating around. If you see accumulation maps, if you see, these massive, crazy amount of snowfall, crazy amount of ice maps, unless you see it from us on the page, or we talk about it here, and it's posted, that, hey, if you see, unless you see an official accumulation map or a preset map from us, don't buy it right now, or from NWS or whatever. Don't buy it right now. There's going to be a lot of hype. It is wintertime, and we see it more often than not. Biggest thing is just stay with us, and we will keep you updated right here in your source for all things Arkansas weather.